Tonight on Elon Local News.
Thanksgiving travel. Travelers may be met with long lines, flight delays, and cancellations this weekend.
Challenges with change. Elon's growing campus comes with concerns for students with physical disabilities.
I have absolutely no clue how to get it.
And booster shots. Students on campus express confusion over COVID-19 booster shots.
All that and more.
Elon Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you are watching Elon Local News.
Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Elon Local News. I'm Baylor Rodman.
And I'm Chloe Franklin.
The first on-campus booster clinic is set for November the 30th, but there's still no details on where or when it is or how students can register. Some students are ready to get their booster now, but don't know where to go to get it. We talked to students today about their booster vaccine status.
My booster shot this morning, and I got it because I'm going home for Thanksgiving, and I'll see family members that are older and immunocompromised.
I feel like, if you already have the shot, I don't really see the importance of getting the booster if the shot does what it's supposed to do.
I have not even heard of where to get it or how to get it, and I did not even know it was a thing that was really happening yet.
I'm just genuinely confused because I got the Johnson & Johnson shot and I'm unsure of where to get the Johnson & Johnson booster.
I did get mine. I got mine at the same time I just got my flu shot, which we had to get a few weeks ago, so I said why not.
I have not gotten it, and that is because I have absolutely no clue how to get it.
Students who do not want to wait for the on-campus booster shot clinics can visit local pharmacies like CVS, Walgreens, Harris Teeter, and Walmart. Those locations and more can be found by visiting vaccines.gov and entering Elon's zip code, which is 27244.
Gas prices are continuing to surge as we get closer to Thanksgiving travel. Our Anne-Marie Bonner joins us live in studio to talk about prices at the pump.
Anne-Marie, what can you tell us?
Baylor and Chloe, gas down the street at Circle K starts at $3.27, but by the time you leave on Friday, it might be even higher. Experts say the prices are going to keep increasing. Soon-to-be teacher and Elon student Eleanor Irian says current gas prices are making her worry about affording to fill up in the future.
I'm scared that I'm not going to have enough, and I've noticed that some of my friends have stopped driving places and stopped going out of the Elon town because they can't afford gas anymore, and that's pretty terrifying.
It cost her just over $31 to fill up her tank today. As a part-time worker, she says it's 2 days worth of her pay. AAA Carolina spokesperson Tiffany Wright says these high prices are probably here to stay until the end of the year.
We are seeing some of the highest gas prices we've seen, it's, from 7 to 8 years if we're looking at what we've seen for Thanksgiving travel. So we do expect that we're probably going to see some of the highest gas prices we've seen since 2013, 2014. So people are going to be paying a lot more for gas, but they're still going to travel.
In order to use gas efficiently, Wright says there's certain tips to keep in mind, like shopping smart when you're headed on your road trip. Gas stations right off the highway are going to have the cheapest prices. The farther you head into towns, the more expensive it is. Wright says to avoid going too fast and not to make sudden stops. And with that, be smart about using your air conditioner because it burns gas. For Irian, she's worried about making it home to Washington, D.C.
I hope that I can make it home, but today, for example, when I came in, I was on empty because I was hoping that maybe if I waited a little bit longer, then the prices would go down some, but they just haven't.
AAA says the average starting price today for the Burlington area is $3.28. I even drove past Citgo not too far down the road, and their price is $3.29. So if you're offering rides to the airports this weekend, make sure you check the updated gas prices before you set your rate. Baylor and Chloe, back to you.
Anne-Marie, thank you so much. For those tips and more you need to know before hitting the road, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And Raleigh-Durham International Airport is expecting a high number of travelers this weekend, and Elon students are among the many heading home for the Thanksgiving holiday. With airlines short-staffed and bookings above pre-pandemic levels, travelers may be met with turbulence before they board. Director of Media Relations at RDU, Stephanie Borland, says the airport is working to make travel as smooth as possible.
We know that we need to staff up for the holidays, and we do that on a regular basis. The labor challenge has been a shortage. As you mentioned, it's hitting the airlines, it's hitting concessionaires in terms of restaurants and stores. So that is something that I think we're dealing with as an airport, just like the country is dealing with as a whole.
This after a water leak damaged an electrical distribution center at RDU, causing a near 6-hour power outage in Terminal 2 Friday. Halko says she doesn't anticipate having any difficulties related to the leak in the days ahead.
It was a difficult day. We want to apologize to everybody who has suffered an inconvenience and a disruption in their flight schedules. We know that was a really tough day, but we don't anticipate that happening again next week.
Halko advises travelers to book parking in advance and arrive at least 2 hours early before their flight. To check your flight status, see @RDU Airport on Twitter. And if you're flying out of Greensboro, see their website, flyfrompto.com.
Many of us are traveling home for Thanksgiving, but some Elon students are celebrating the holiday abroad, including members of our Elon News Network staff. Our Margaret Faust spoke to us from Cairo. She says explaining the holiday to her classmates has led to some reflecting.
Turkey trot and pumpkins and turkey might be foreign, but the idea of getting together as a family and celebrating all the blessings in your life and everything that you're thankful to have is universal.
Our Anna Terry says her program in Dublin is hosting a Thanksgiving dinner for American students, but she can't attend because her family is visiting.
Everything here has already skipped past Thanksgiving. We actually drove into the city tonight and all of the Christmas lights are up and all that stuff, which is great to see. And I know it's kind of the US starts putting out their decorations and stuff very early on, but it makes me kind of sad that they're skipping over Thanksgiving because it's my favorite.
Margaret and Anna will be back in the US next month, and we're looking forward to having them home.
Beginning tomorrow, Campus Kitchen, Elon Dining, and United Way of Alamance County are hosting a Thanksgiving-themed non-perishable food drive. The goal is to fill up the Elon Dining catering truck by this Friday. Items can be donated to specific locations on campus or Lakeside Dining Hall through this Friday. Donating 5 or more cans is equivalent to 1 meal voucher, which is good for a free meal anywhere on campus. Students who have +7, +14, or block meal plans can stop by the designated table in the Mosley Center and donate a meal swipe instead of items. Donations benefit the Salvation Army and the Healing Station.
Thanksgiving 2021 could be the most expensive meal in the history of the holiday. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the cost of goods this October rose more than 6% compared to October last year. That's a 30-year high. And according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the cost of an at-home Thanksgiving could be up more than 3% through the rest of the year. Turkeys are often the most expensive item on the Thanksgiving table, and supply chain issues due to the pandemic are affecting their price. Experts say if you want to keep costs down this year, you can buy foods for your dinner now to avoid last-minute hikes. You can also look for deals at the store or share costs with any guests who might turn up at your table. No matter how large a meal you are planning on having this year, you may want to budget a bit more for your celebration.
After the break, Alderman-elect Stephanie Borland joins us live in studio.
And Elon's next class got their chance to learn about college dance this weekend. Stay tuned.
Joining us live now in the Jane and Brian Williams studio this evening is Elon Board of Alderman-elect Stephanie Borland.
Stephanie, good evening to you.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when you take your seat on the board, what do you plan on doing first?
First, I want to say thank you to everybody that came out and voted. We really appreciate that. And it's actually December 6th, so we're having a swearing in. Then we actually have to get to work that night. So there's no messing around. We're on that. But you know, one of the things I was thinking about today is the fact that you all have been talking about prices soaring between gas prices and food prices. And one of the things that I talked about in my candidacy was the fact that we have upwards of 22% of the town of Elon is in poverty. 14% of Alamance County is in poverty. So when you talk about these food drives that you've been talking about on the newscast, they really are extremely important because Those are the things that people are trying to decide between buying gas or putting food on their table. And so for Elon students to be able to really get out there and help either in the next week or the next coming weeks, also Elon is doing that as well as far as a food drive up until December 19th. So those are some of the things we're going to be working on in the meantime.
But to go off of that, I mean, as you said, I mean, the prices have been really high, as you said. How, when you get on the board, what are some of the things that you think that the Board of Aldermen can do to start to relieve some of those costs?
Ooh, that's a big one. I don't know if the national government has figured that one out yet, Baylor. But I think one of the big things that people are always talking about are our water bills. And our water comes from Burlington, as you well know. And so we are sort of stuck at this point as far as what we can do to negotiate that contract that's been ongoing for a long time. So that's one thing that we can try and alleviate. We did break those bills up to, they used to be a 3-month increment, and now they're on a monthly increment. So that at least helps people budget a little bit better.
Sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you so much. You as well.
too.
Big plans?
I'm not cooking, so that's a good thing.
Oh, there you go.
That is a good thing.
Well, Stephanie Borland, thank you so much. And after the December 6th date, we'll bring you back and we'll talk about some, what's going on at the board.
Sounds good.
As Elon's campus grows, some students with physical disabilities are concerned about getting around. Our Naya Penn City has more.
A lamppost, a staircase, or an uneven pathway. All things you might not think twice about, but make all the difference for students with physical disabilities on campus.
Okay, that car's not going to stop. That's great.
Sophomore Victor Gaspar was born visually impaired. With good lighting, what might look like this to us looks more like this to him. Gaspar says he can get around campus on his own, but when he walks in darker areas, he sometimes questions where he's headed next.
Am I actually going to veer off into the wrong place, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. I'd be able to find my way around, but it's just not as convenient if, it takes me longer to get to a place.
Navigating campus can also be difficult for sophomore Ella Nutt, who gets around in a partially motorized wheelchair. She says some crosswalks have caused her chair to flip over.
Hold on. For the first little bit, it was kind of scary going over that crosswalk because it was kind of like, oh, am I gonna like I really have to be careful about how I approach that crosswalk.
In a statement to ENN, Director of Landscaping and Grounds Scott Stevens says, quote, "With a campus that is constantly growing, there are always challenges. Elon University's campus has standards for walkways and also complies with ADA requirements." Gaspar says before settling in his freshman year at Elon, he walked around campus with a guide through disability services. And though he knows most paths now, he still likes to explore.
As time goes on, you just learn more paths and you just connect things. And that's kind of how I am now. I'm like, oh, well, maybe today's a day that I'll just go pick out a random path and see where it goes.
Naya Penn City, Elon Local News.
Stevens says if students have any areas of campus in need of repairs, they can visit fixit.elon.edu.
High school dance students visited campus this weekend, and our Haley Phelps reports on how the Performing Arts Department is making college dance a more accessible program.
Rehearsal studios across campus were filled with high school students from North Carolina this Saturday. It was the first ever Discover Dance event and exposed students to what it means to be a dance major. The event planning was led by Elon seniors studying arts administration. Dance professor Jen Guy Metcalf says the seniors reflected the performing arts mantra of collaboration, innovation, and celebration.
These students who are working today are creating a legacy for future generations.
Charlize Dupree goes to high school at the Durham School of the Arts. They say they appreciate the opportunity to be exposed to new and challenging forms of dance offered at a college level.
When we actually performed it, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get this. It's like, it clicks a little bit, I'm still not that great, but it's fun.
Senior Maddie Abraham says the event has been in the works all semester, so watching it come together made it more special.
I feel like if I had had something like this, I would have been way more open to other opportunities coming into college.
David McGraw oversees Elon's Arts Administration Senior Seminar class. He hopes to make Discover Dance an annual event because it makes arts education accessible.
We, as an Elon program, are really seeing a great diversity in terms of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation of the students that we have here today, and being able to really have a broader perspective of what the dance world includes.
Haley Phelps, Elon Local News.
Metcalf encourages interested high school students to reach out to Elon faculty and staff to learn more about the performing arts program. And still ahead, men's basketball is on a winning streak. We'll have more after the break.
I'll have the expected weather for our last week of school coming next.
The men's basketball team prepares to head to Charleston after it finished its first 2 home games of the season this weekend. For the first time in program history, the team will participate in the Charleston Classic. There it will compete against West Virginia University and either Marquette University or University of Mississippi. The Phoenix will have one more game on Sunday, but that team has yet to be determined. Head coach Mike Schrage says that between this tournament and the team's previous game against University of Florida, it should be prepared for the rest of its non-conference games.
That should be an eye-opener. I think if we approach Charleston Classic the right way, it was really important to play a team that level, to give our guys an example of how precise you have to be on both ends of the floor to give yourself even a chance to compete and win.
Schrage says he hopes his team will enjoy the weekend but continue to grow and learn, as this opportunity does not come frequently for teams like Elon.
It's a unique opportunity. For Elon, it's a unique opportunity for any mid-major program to get invited to an event like that. So I want to soak it up. I want to be as competitive as possible and have a lot of belief going down there. But just realize, hey, this is this amazing opportunity for our program, our guys, our university at the same time. So.
We are sending a full team to cover the tournament, so for coverage, be sure to follow @SportsENN and @Elon News Network.
Well, I've got to tell you, Chloe, it was quite chilly out there this morning. It officially feels like the holidays.
I know, you're telling me I had on a huge jacket and I was still freezing. I was like, is this frostbite? No.
Well, it was good that one thing, it wasn't like it was midday and all of a sudden it was 86 degrees like we've had kind of in the weeks behind.
North Carolina weather for you.
Exactly. All right, well, 21 minutes after the hour now, and joining us live with the weather ahead is Eliza Tews, and she's right here in the Jane and Brian with our Phoenix 5-day forecast.
Eliza, good evening to you.
Good evening, Chloe and Baylor. So there has been a lot less students walking around campus. This is due to the change of weather, which has unfortunately been dropping. But fortunately this week, the weather will increase and hopefully pull some students out of their studying hibernation. So now for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. So tomorrow we will see the temperature rise a bit with a high of 63 and sun. And Wednesday it will get even higher, all the way up to 72 degrees and sunny. This pattern continues into Thursday with another sunny day and a high of 72. Take advantage of the last few warm days of the season, as the temperature will drop back down to a high of 52 and sunny on Friday, and will stay in the low 50s with partial clouds on Saturday. That's it for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you guys.
Eliza Tews live in studio with your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Thank you so much.
And still to come, a look back at 2021 as we wrap up the fall semester. Motivated to serve after September 11th, our next story shows someone who went to Afghanistan. Now, 20 years later, after seeing the withdrawal, he's among many left wondering if the mission was accomplished. Our Caitlin Rundle has the story.
So I looked at it as like a game show, you know, as long as I go over there and, you know, survive and, you know, lose an arm or a finger or a leg, if I come back, then that's tax-free money and I've won the game show.
Joe is in the Army Reserves, so did not want to show his face. His real name isn't Joe, and we've distorted his voice per his request. He joined the Army when he was 18 years old, serving in Afghanistan from 2015 to 2016. Joe says he decided to enlist after the terrorist attacks on 9/11.
I've seen all those people, you know, die, and kind of made me want to go and try to do something, help the country out.
Just an hour drive from Elon's campus, a piece of the World Trade Center stands tall on the side of a country road in Pittsburgh. In front of it, 20 roses, 20 years later. According to the United Service Organization, following 9/11, over 180,000 people enlisted as active duty members and 73,000 joined the U.S. Reserves. Pittsburgh resident Bill Crawford says that their event not only remembers 9/11, but those who risked their lives following that fateful day.
We send them over there so the fight's over there instead of on our streets. And that's the thankfulness I have for all the veterans, because they deliberately go into those areas even though they know where that's where all the crazy people are.
In the months following the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan, Joe says it is not the ending that he wanted, but something had to give.
I wish that the Afghan, soldiers, I wish they had that drive inside of them to, protect their country and, take ownership of that, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
He says that the fight from terrorism is far from over and that the United States will always need a military. Caitlin Rundle, Elon Local News.
Our team is continuing to gather voices for this piece, so stay tuned for the final update next month.
Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Be sure to join us back here at 10 a.m. Eastern this Thursday for Elon Morning.
As always, make sure to visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
Have a great night, Elon.
And finally tonight here at Elon News Network, we began the year covering the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, hybrid learning, and so much more. And we're ending it with an almost fully vaccinated campus back together in the classroom. Here's a look back at 2021 and what a year it's been.
For the first time, Elon University will rapidly test students weekly beginning tomorrow.
Oakley, a beautiful oak.
That major storm we were looking for this morning has yet to show up.
Today, schools in the Alamance-Burlington school system are opening its doors to students for the first time since March 2020. Incoming Elon University Police Chief Joe Lemire is preparing to make the move to Elon before his March 29th start date.
Elon University is administering 300 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as part of its continued vaccination efforts.
Breaking this morning, the Office of Academic Advising is apologizing for disclosing federally protected student information.
Vice President Kamala Harris was in North Carolina today for the first time since taking office.
Evening, Brian and Maeve. The weather is beautiful out here on Citroen Plaza.
The Elon Marriage Pact is a questionnaire that was sent out to students to help them find their most compatible match on campus.
Healthy Elon Chair Jeff Stein announced the university will continue to require masks indoors beyond the original August 29th deadline.
Then, President Bush addressed the nation. Today, a special edition of Elon Morning.
20 years ago, the world witnessed the tragic events of 9/11.
Residents in Crest are still on edge after a series of car break-ins right outside their doors.
So can students expect a potential booster requirement just for the spring? It's very possible.
Campaign signs are popping up around Elon, marking the start of election season.
Designed for students.
Good morning and welcome to a special edition of Elon Morning this 103rd Veterans Day.